Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to our webinar on Turkey, the regional hub to connect Europe and Asia, organized by Ict Tech in partnership with with Enterprise Singapore and the Turkish Investment Office to give an overview of the Turkish tech ecosystem and a look into the post-COVID-19 opportunities. I'm Elijah, your host for today. Turkey is a growing innovation hub in the southeastern European and Middle East regions, boasting a sizable young and digitally connected population. With an estimated amount of USD 16 billion worth of international investments attracted since the early 2000s, Turkey's employment in the sector has surpassed over 139,000. Over 20% of employment in Turkey's ICT sectors are that of R&D personnel, and nearly 70% of those employed in the sector are below 35 years old. Before we begin, we would like to highlight some house rules for this session. Firstly, a gentle reminder that this webinar will be recorded for marketing and archival purposes. The recording will be uploaded onto Ict Tech's website. You can type your questions into the Zoom Q&A box throughout the webinar, and selected questions will be answered. Please state your company name as well as your own name before asking the questions. So today, we will be covering an overview of the Turkish tech ecosystem, outlining the latest investment climate, sharing common business practices, as well as tech opportunities in the region. The Q&A session will be moderated by Ms. Jacqueline Khoo, Assistant Director of Industry Program Outreach at Ict Tech. Ms. Jacqueline has been part of Ict Tech for 13 years, playing various roles in supporting Singapore-based technology companies to further their businesses both domestically and internationally. As a part of Ict Tech, Jacqueline assists these companies in getting connected into the technology business ecosystem and expanding their networks to the who's who in the Singapore Infocom industry. I'll now pass the time to Jacqueline to give us her welcome address. Jacqueline, please.
Hi, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking time back to join us for another internationalization webinar. To our members and friends again, it's really a pleasure to have you again. And to those who are not familiar with us, just like give me a brief moment to do an introduction of who we are or who is Ict Tech. So Ict Tech is a trade association set up to represent and champion the interests of the tech industry in Singapore. As the landscape of technology rapidly evolves, Ict Tech strives to create an ecosystem that anticipates trends and develop initiatives to strengthen and grow the industry sustainability. Currently, Ict Tech supports close to 1,000 corporate members, ranging from innovative startups, booming SMEs, as well as top MNCs, representing their interests and conveying the industry concerns to them. So Ict Tech strives to create an ecosystem that strengthens the community and help the ICT industry to grow. So henceforth, if you are in this space of technology and for or companies that are core with technology core as a core, well, we welcome you to come and explore with us in the different initiatives and programs that we have to help our Singapore companies to grow. Right. So today, I also like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, Enterprise Singapore and investinturkey for supporting this webinar. And I hope that you will find the information or the session informative and helpful to your business. And of course, after the webinar, if you need any assistance, please do feel to come to connect with us, and we will see how we can assist you. Right, wish all a fruitful webinar. Thank you. Elijah, over to you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Now allow me to introduce Mr. Furkan Karayaka. Mr. Furkan is the head of Overseas Activities Department in the Turkey Investment Office. Now Mr. Furkan will give an opening speech. Furkan, please.
Thank you, Elia. You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, distinguished guests, all ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Investment Office of Turkey. I would like to start my remarks with special thanks to SG team for providing such an opportunity for my country, and also I would like to thank to Enterprise Singapore for their valuable contribution today. As Investment Office of Turkey, I would like to mention about our organization. We are a governmental agency and directly attached to the presidency of Turkey. And we have the mandate to promote Turkey's investment environment to international business community and to attract more quality FDI to Turkey, and also to provide consultancy services to investors on behalf of Turkish government. Ladies and gentlemen, Turkey attaches utmost importance to supporting pioneers and investors in technology. Turkey's technological capabilities supported by customized incentives, and which created an attractive ecosystem. I would like to mention more about Turkey's some basic information. Turkey has a population of 84 million people, and half of the population is below 32 years old. And with these figures, Turkey is the largest and youngest population in Europe. We have over 62 million internet users, and they spend almost 7.5 hours a day on the internet. And out of that 62 million, 54 million are active social media users. So this makes Turkey a perfect test platform for technology developers. And because whatever they produce in technology, they have the best customers ready to try and use their product. The talent pool is also an important component of a good startup ecosystem, which is available in Turkey. Every year we have almost 1 million university graduates, and significant of them are in engineering and other technical fields. And you can find affordable and competent developers with multi-languages in very large numbers in Turkey. And today, Turkey also an industrial hub in the region, in Europe, we can say, in EMEA region actually, with advanced manufacturing capabilities and seamless business service. And this ecosystem is both supporting and also being supported by tech entrepreneurs, and as well as strong financial ecosystem. As such, Turkey's diversified economy, entrepreneurial business culture, as well as young and tech-savvy population have attracted significant investments from global players recently. Despite the pandemic, Turkey continues to lure and attract innovative startups and to provide for successful exits as a hub with its excellent talent pool and unique location between key markets in Europe and Middle East and Central Asia. Last year, in 2020, Turkish startups raised approximately $140 million from early stage investors in Turkey. Last year, in 2020, we also had our first unicorn, a Turkish game developer Peak, which is sold to US-based Zynga for $1.8 billion. But the news are bigger for this year. In 2021, Turkish startups raised more than $1 billion of investment. And this is the record for Turkish startup ecosystem history. And Turkey is now in the European Investment Super League with over $1 billion of investment. The lion's share of this success belongs to Turkish startup grocery delivery company Getir. I would like to mention about Getir a little more because it's an interesting success story in this pandemic period. An online food and grocery delivery service, Getir, which is actually instant delivery service, approximately 10 and 15 minutes. It helped and made the life easier for the people during the lockdown. So attracted nearly $1 billion of investment in 2021, and investors including from even Silicon Valley, and the valuation exceeded $7.5 billion. Now their service started also in London, Berlin, Paris, and other European capitals. Together with Getir, Getir and Peak, another Turkish e-commerce platform, Trendyol, has also received an additional 330 million investment from existing partner Chinese Alibaba in a capital increase, and become the third Turkish startup received unicorn status in 1 year. And also, as of yesterday, a new investment is announced, and another Turkish game company, Dream Games, has become the fourth unicorn of Turkey. So we estimate that VCs have raised $500 million of funds recently, and we expect to see a new wave of capital injection to Turkish startups ecosystem in the next 3 and 4 years. And we expect more Turkish unicorns in near future. We also, as investment office, continue to promote, raise an awareness about Turkish startup ecosystem. And to this end, we regularly publish our flagship report, The State of Turkish Startup Ecosystem, together with Startups Watch, which you can find in our website, Invest in Turkey. So I hope that this gathering enables us to take a step forward and further enhance the cooperation between Turkish and Singapore's tech ecosystems. After my speech, Mr. Barış Özistek, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Turkish ecosystem, will give you more insights. And as well as my colleague Ahmet will make a presentation about Turkish startup ecosystem. I would like to thank you all for listening. I wish you a successful and fruitful webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Furkan. So next up will be the industry sharing by Mr. Barış Özistek, board member at Tubisat and chairman Netmarble Turkey. Barış has been the acting chairman of Netmarble EMEA, the global gaming company, since 2013. He is also the co-founder and board member of Boğaziçi Ventures, which is one of the leading venture capitals in the region with technology, investment funds, and cryptocurrency funds. Starters Hub, the largest venture building program that supports startups in Turkey, is another venture that he co-founded, acting as a board member between 2015 to 2020. Mr. Özistek has worked for several companies at top executive levels, such as Adecco and Bureau Veritas in Turkey, the Caspian Sea, and the Middle East and North African regions. Mr. Özistek serves as a member of the executive board at Turkey Informatics Foundation, one of the leading non-governmental organizations in Turkey. He takes an active role in leading non-governmental organizations such as TUSAID, Turkish Industrials and Businessmen's Association, Women in Tech Association, Tubisat, the Turkish Informatics Industry Association, Grivec, an Entrepreneurship Foundation, and Blockchain Turkey platform. And he will now be sharing about the industrial ecosystem of Turkey. I'll now pass the time to Barış. Barış, please.
Thank you very much. So let me share my screen as well. So hello everyone. So today I'll try to explain the opportunities in the Turkish tech ecosystem, which I call it's a booming ecosystem with thousands of talented startups and upcoming unicorns. So thank you for the intro. So I'll not explain myself, but roughly I can tell you since more than 10 years I am in the tech industry, and I'm very active, especially in the entrepreneurship, startups, and the investment perspective. So the question is why it's booming today. Well, if you compare the ecosystem in the last 10 years ago, of course, we were the early entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs in the ecosystem, but it was challenging. But I think this is the reality of Turkey. Sometimes we may go slow, but when we realize the trend, when we realize the opportunity, we are faster than anyone else on the world. So in 10 years, the market totally shifted, and now it's booming. So let me tell you a couple of reasons why it's booming. Of course, we all know talent is the most important pillar for the tech industry, and we have it in Turkey. We have the top talents in the Turkey since long years, but the problem was the top talents were not willing to work for the tech industry. But today we see a huge flow from the top talents to the tech industry, to the startup ecosystem. Now the top talents are willing to work for startups instead of the conglomerates. So that's a major shift in the country. Now that another perspective, of course, when we are talking about the talents, one group is the new graduates. new brilliant graduates. But on the other hand, experienced talents are maybe more important for the startup ecosystem, because you want to hire the experienced people, the top talents, then quickly add value to your company for the exponential growth. And now today, experienced talents are much more brave and ambitious to become entrepreneurs, to work for the startups, because they trust more to the startups, and they are more willing to become entrepreneurs. Of course, there are a couple of reasons, but that's the fact. So thanks to that fact, we see experienced people are coming from the banking ecosystem, telecom, global multinational FMCG companies, whatever you call, directly to the startup and technology ecosystem. And in the country, we have powerful teams with hard worker, creative, and growth-minded talents. I think the keyword growth-minded is the key here, because as of today, everywhere in the world, the top talent, what we mean by a top talent is a growth-minded talent. Every day a new technology comes, a new development comes. So your teams should be always keep working, keep developing themselves, keep reading, keep understanding the new developments. So they should be self-learners. Now we have these top talents in the startup ecosystem. So another pillar why it's booming today, there's a huge government support. Government support, I mean, if you compare with the other parts of the world, Turkey is pretty interesting today. All government institutions are racing each other to support the startups and technology ecosystem. So many ministries, investment office, R&D institutions, all of them have multiple support. Today, I can tell you a startup's challenge is which support they have to get, or which supports they can get, they can manage. But good part, the government supports for both R&D and commercialization. In the past, especially the commercialization part was missing, but today both of them existed. We have tax incentives, especially for the tech companies. We have startup-friendly environment and regulations. Of course, when I say it in a one sentence, you may think like everywhere in the world is startup-friendly, but I can assure you that Turkey has a really startup-friendly environment on the government side, on the government institutions side, and also on the corporate side. And yeah, we have zero capital gain tax, so it's an ideal location to become an entrepreneur, to establish your startup, because when you sell it, no tax, it's tax-free. Another, of course, important pillar is the financing part. We were, I mean, the startup ecosystem was suffering from the financing 10 years ago. But as of today, early stage financing became reachable. We have thousands of angel investors. We have pretty advanced, sophisticated accelerators in all major cities. These accelerators provide mentorship, office space, trainings, on top of it, investment as well. We have investor-friendly fund structures. The regulation just changed around a year ago and became very investor and startup friendly, and the IPO opportunities are increasing. So as an investor, we are always looking for the opportunity how to exit. So now the exit opportunities increased thanks to the public market. So IPO now is an opportunity for an exit in Turkey, or you can make an IPO in Europe or in Canada. So these are the good parts. And if you check the late stage financing, like Series B, C, D financing, especially in the last couple of years, we see a strong attention from the Western investors. Still, the Asian investors didn't fully realize the market, but the Western large investors were pretty fast and early investors in the market, like Makers Fund, Index Ventures, Tiger Global. They are all active and they are ready to deploy large funds into Turkish tech companies. So these are some of the just the logos, the brands of the large funds which made recent investments in the market. So I would also say a culture change positively impacted the tech ecosystem. Again, 10 years ago, I mean, we had founded Joy Game, the first successful gaming company in the region. And at that time, the year I'm talking about between 2009 to 2012, the culture was like this. Families of our employees were asking their kids when you will find a job. So we were paying a good salary. They were working in a gaming company, and the families didn't accept gaming as a proper job. They were asking them and their kids to be a banker, to work for a construction company or an FMCG company. But as of today, this totally changed. Today, the families are willing to pay instead of salary. They want to pay more for the gaming industry to hire their kids. So the families encourage their kids to work for gaming industry, to work for startups, to become an entrepreneur. So it's an important cultural shift. It's also driving the talents to the industry. Also, the NGOs spend pretty much time to support the startups in the tech industry. And as a last word, why it's booming today, the crisis it extremely positively affected the ecosystem. First of all, devaluation of Turkish lira. It created a pretty significant mind shift in all tech companies from local markets to global. Turkey is a big market. So when you become when you establish a startup in the market, you can easily earn your money in the local market. So the startups, the entrepreneurs generating money, profit in the local market, they were a bit distant to the global markets because they were in a comfort zone in the local market. Local market was big enough, but especially after the devaluation of the Turkish lira, everyone realized how big the opportunity in the global market, and it helped all the tech companies to see exponential growth. And as you know, all the large investors, especially the Western investors, they are always seeking for the exponential growth. And now we see lots of tech companies with strong exponential growth because they are growing in the global, because they change their faces, they change their direction to the global because of this Turkish lira devaluation. So I always believe there is huge opportunities in the crisis, and all the tech industry is having this opportunity. So this global focus fueled the exponential growth, and it helped the global investors come to the market with high attention. Let me also give you a couple of snapshots just for you to have an idea about the ecosystem. So, for example, creative content development ecosystem, which means gaming, animation, and mobile content developers. We have over 1,000 companies, 1,000 studios. So yes, we have a unicorn like Peak Games, but in the market you'll see more than 1,000 talented, good, and most of them profitable, very strong teams, companies in that industry. Lots of them in the gaming industry. We are strong in animation, esports, and also mobile content. You can see from US to China, all game publishers are extremely active in the market to work with the Turkish game companies. Already the market reached over $1 billion annual export revenue. We have very resourceful, we are very resourceful in development and art. And good part of culturally and location-wise, we are very well connected to the global culture, both to Asia and Western markets. That's why it's an ideal location to develop the creative content. So another example is the Fintech ecosystem. Turkey ranks first in Europe and the Middle East in the use of the most innovative technologies in the banking industry. So why it's important for the technology ecosystem, for the startup ecosystem? Because we see a strong flow of experienced talents are leaving their positions in the banking industry and becoming the entrepreneurs. And especially for fintech, that's very important, because fintech is an area where the seasoned, the experienced entrepreneurs can establish their businesses. Now they have the reach to the finance, they have the experience from the banking and financial industry. That's why we see a very strong increasing number of fintechs, successful fintechs in the market. And in the next, they will go to the global. Some of them doing a good business on the global scale or the regional scale, but you'll see in the next couple of years, these successful fintechs will scale to the global very fast. And I expect a couple of unicorns very soon in that ecosystem. So a couple of snapshots from the last year. 165 startups raised more than approximately $140 million investments. So gaming, artificial intelligence, health tech, fintech, SaaS, these were the top funded verticals. As you can see, gaming is not the only successful area. Yes, Peak Games we all know, but Getir, a mobile retail tech startups, reached $7.5 billion valuation in a short period of time. Meditopia was one of our investments. They reached a pretty high valuation there in health tech area, and Insider in retail tech got invested with multiple global investors, and it's dominating their vertical. So it was a pretty good year during the pandemic for Turkish startup ecosystem, and also there was a significant development on the investment side. Turkish government became an anchor investor in 5 local venture capitals. One is Boğaziçi Ventures, as I'm the board member. So local VCs help early stage tech investment, plus they also help the global VCs enter the market, co-invest. We see through these local VCs, there is a significant investment activity, co-investment activity in the market, especially with the European and American VCs. But as I mentioned, I am expecting a strong flow from Asia as well for the 2022 and 2023. And this year, DigiPay is one of the fintech startups, got $50 million investments from Goldman Sachs. Getir, we are all talking about Getir. In just 6 months period, the startup ecosystem reached over $500 million investment. And in a couple of weeks, you'll hear Hepsiburada, one of the top 3 marketplace. I'm not saying the number 1, but just top 3 marketplace filed for public listing at Nasdaq. In a couple of weeks, we will hear the next unicorn of Turkey. So this slide just changed yesterday because Dream became the number 4 unicorn. So that's why in the first 6 months the total investment became $678 million US dollars. Just half year investment to the market. We have seen another success in the market, and Dream became the 4th unicorn. So, as a last word, what I expect, Asian tech investors will be more active in the market. Turkish Tech Ecosystem will shift to a global hub from a regional one. As of now, in a couple of industries, we became a global hub like gaming. But mainly we are perceived as a regional hub. But I assure you, in a couple of years, this will be a one of the major global hubs in the startup ecosystem. And personally, I believe there will be more than 20 unicorns by 2025. And it's not a dream. I mean, I'm on the investor side, so we talk based on the data. We monitor the market. We see which companies have the opportunity for exponential growth and high valuation. We sincerely think there will be more than 20 unicorns by 2025. Well, thank you very much for listening to me. You can see my contact information. You can reach me by email or any instant messenger, including WeChat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barish. Okay. Next up, we have Mr. Ahmet Diller, industry expert, Turkey Investment Office, who will present on ICT sector development and opportunities in Turkey. Ahmet is in charge of the ICT program of the Investment Office that promotes Turkey's investment opportunities. He provides business and regulatory assistance to companies, addressing their business facilitation requests for licenses, permits, infrastructure developments, incentives, and site assessments. Before joining the Investment Office, he worked as an M&A and international tech service consultant at KPMG Turkey office to deliver due diligence and international tech structuring services. Ahmet, please.
Thank you for a quick introduction. Let me share my screen also. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you again, and hello and welcome to today's webinar. I will present you investment opportunities in Turkish technology ecosystem, and thank you for taking time out and being here today. My name is Ahmet Diller, and I'm excited to be part of this session. In my presentation, I will go over some central points that Turkey has and position Turkey as a regional gateway for high-tech industries. And these are a favorable investment environment, a strong international presence, a thriving tech ecosystem, and large and growing market. Then the backbone of the growth is the young and well-educated human capital that the country offers. And ICT ecosystem is strongly backed by international and local companies and creating a diverse environment for all these players. In today's agenda, I will start with ICT Sector Outlook, then I will mention about the growth drivers and jump opportunities in Turkish ICT sector, and I will conclude with the startup ecosystem. In the last 5 years, Turkish ICT market has grown 17% on average and nearly reached twice of its size. In the 2019, Turkish ICT market has surpassed 150 billion Turkish liras by growing 14% on a yearly basis. Information technology constitutes 37% of the ICT market in Turkey, and it rose to 56 billion liras in 2019. The information technology sector employed 76% of total employees in the sector. The sector's exports also rose to 27% year on year to hit 6.5 billion liras. The electronic communication sector also contributed a significant 25% to growth in export, according to a report by TÜBİSAD. What about the export numbers of Turkish ICT sector? Turkey's exports are surpassing $1 billion to the EU, MENA, Asian and North American regions. Turkey's primary export destination, EU, receives over the 80% of Turkey's ICT exports in software, hardware, equipment, and services. And with a large domestic market and sizable potential spending in ICT sector, it's expected to grow faster than the global average. And looking at the sector in general, we see about 2,000 companies, where local and international companies. You can see the logos of selected companies on the slide. And there are about 140,000 employees, and 30% are women. And this is an impressive number in STEAM arena, but it is still not enough for us. Another striking point is almost 70% of the employees are younger than 35 years old, and this is the youngest in Europe. And what about the growth drivers in Turkey? First and foremost, skilled and cost-competitive talent pool of Turkey. And qualified engineers are available in a cost-competitive manner. On the left-hand table, we can see the comparison of Turkey's qualified engineers with the peer countries. Almost 50,000 students graduating every year from STEM programs in Turkey. There are over 120,000 professional software developers. And to upgrade this number, Turkey's Information Technologies Authority commenced a 1 million software developer program. It's like a certificate program where classes are online and for free. And big tech or startups use this talent pool, and it's amazing how they can establish world-class operations at this price level, because the difference between salaries is almost fivefold compared to the ones in the US West Coast. We see more and more companies utilizing that difference between salaries. Another point is the technopark concept in Turkey and R&D centers. The establishment of technoparks in Turkey started in 2001 and now has reached 72 technology parks across Turkey, and additional 14 are underway. Technoparks have been the gathering place for technology and innovation-based companies, from idea stage startups to firms with billions of Turkish lira exports annually. These technoparks house more than 60,000 startups, scale-ups, and grown-ups, and employing total over almost 60,000 people. More than 1,300 companies are established as either spin-offs or within the academia partnership. And there are also more than 1,200 in-house R&D centers that has obtained R&D center certificate to benefit from supports and incentives provided by the R&D Act. The general supports and incentives provided by Ministry of Science and Technology as follows. What are those main incentive tools? One is the tax deduction, reduced tax rates for investors' income ranging from 50% to 90% until the total deduction reaches to a certain percentage of capital expenditure. Others are VAT exemption, custom duty exemption, interest rate support, and in some cases, land allocation for the companies. And there are also various lucrative incentives through the innovation lifecycle. These are from idea stage to patented sales. At the idea stage, there are techno startup incentives. For product and project development phase, there are call-based TÜBİTAK calls, project calls. In commercialization phase, technoparks and R&D center incentives. For manufacturing companies, there are technology-focused industrial movement program. And the last one is the growth and competition for patented sales. Patented sales benefit from patent box, which means tax incentives for R&D are available, even if it does not result with IP rights. However, when it does, 50% of the income from inventions and software developments are exempt from the corporate income tax, and qualifying income from leasing, transferring, and selling these intangible rights arising from the R&D Act qualify a 100% VAT exemption. And the second part is the opportunities in Turkish ICT sector. First, I would like to mention about the telecommunications in Turkey. Strong growth of the market is almost double to 97 billion Turkish liras in the last 5 years, with growing export $112 million in 2019. Over 40 billion Turkish liras has been invested from telecom infrastructure in the last 5 years. Growth in the sector is driven by the national broadband strategy targets by 2023. To give you an example, fiber internet subscription to reach 10 million people, and fixed and mobile broadband penetration to reach 130% of the population. And what about the 5G and beyond? 5G and beyond will change the first communication sector and then shape all the vertical sectors such as energy, manufacturing, healthcare, automotive, transportation, and finance. 5G will and is acting as a facilitator, enabler for all these sectors by reducing latency, data transmission networks and private networks. And public authorities in Turkey are adamant to be forefront of this change. So they have established a 5G TR forum to bring together prominent academics, R&D firms, vendors, and operators in Turkey. And 5G TR forum members prepared a published 5G and beyond white paper, which reveals the perspective and set forth the roadmap on its way to 5G. 5G Valley open testbed is open to all developers. It is also established to foster R&D activities in this fold. 5G and beyond joint graduate support program launched to upgrade qualified human capital in this sector. And also there are communication technologies cluster and ULAC developing some localized parts for projects for the 5G in Turkey. In e-commerce, in Turkey, the number of online users and interest in e-commerce is constantly rising, and the broader implementation of multi-channel trading also contributes to the growing business volume of the industry. And on top of that, mobile internet has attracted a notable number of users in recent years. The young population in particular shows a rapidly growing interest in the use of new technologies, especially smartphones and the LTE internet. So with a 50% of mobile shoppers rate, which is higher than that of US, UK, Spain, and Brazil, it holds a huge potential in mobile phone shopping. Turkey shows a high growth potential in e-commerce. E-commerce market growth with an average annual growth of 35% since 2015, and Turkish e-commerce market volume, which was observed to be $14 billion in the last year. And the fastest growing subsector was online retail. And I would like to show you a graph where you can see the true potential of e-commerce market, while the share of online retail is in 12% in OECD countries in average. Turkey's online retail ratio is 6%, which represents a minimum double-digit growth for growth opportunity for forthcoming years. Fintech would be another pillar of ICT sector to mention about it. Turkey is transforming into a fintech hub with over 200 companies and online payment market of $33 billion. What are those features make Turkey a digital hotspot for fintechs? A strong banking ecosystem with an educated workforce, Europe's biggest credit and debit card market. Last year, legislation enacted for the open banking in line with the PSD2 of Europe. And recently, remote and digital customer acquisition has been paid for the banks and fintechs, and we are expecting that issuance of digital banking license will begin by the end of this year, and equity-based and lending-based crowdfunding applications will begin by the end of this September. And looking at the ecosystem, we see good startups, mostly in money transfer and mobile payment systems. In fact, they have received international funding as well. EasyCo acquired by PayU recently, PayGuru acquired by TPay, etc. As a testament for agile structure of this ecosystem, we saw companies taking swift actions and moving to no-touch payments quickly when the need occurred with the pandemic. However, there is an untapped potential there. The legislation is recently enacted with PSD2. Open banking will make it possible to have know your customer platforms in Turkey. And other potential areas would be insurance, saving and investments, and financial planning. We should also talk about the vivacious game market. Barış Bey also detailed this sector, but I also want to mention about, because it's important for us. Total revenue generated in 2020 is $880 million, and 15% growth forecasted for forthcoming years. Turkey's game market report showed that about half of this figure stem from the mobile games. Turkey's game software exports reached $1.8 billion, according to data released by the Trade Ministry. And thriving Turkish game ecosystem has generated a great deal of interest from foreign investors. San Francisco-based Zynga has acquired Gram Games and Rolik, and Zynga also acquired Big Games for $1.8 billion. And the huge acquisition represents the first $1 billion plus exit for a startup out of country. And yesterday, Dream Games received an investment of $155 million in the Series B investment round. And with the investment received, Dream Games company valuation reached $1 billion. And Dream Games became the fourth unicorn of Turkey within the last 1 year. And I also added a section for AI and data analytics in Turkey. According to research conducted by EY with Microsoft, AI in the Middle East and Africa Outlook for 2019 and beyond, Turkey is the lead AI investor in the Middle East and Africa region, with a total investment amounting to $3.4 billion. And it's followed by the United Arab Emirates and the South Africa. And artificial intelligence and machine learning applications incorporated into cloud services utilized for smart automation and predictive analytics. And the main focus is to optimize the demand and inventory forecasts. And many companies are right now conducting pilot projects and experiments with startups and universities to gain momentum in this field. And top-notch universities offering undergraduate and graduate programs that focuses in the field of AI. And last note, there are 24 Turkish startups with the published patent application in the field of AI and data analytics. E-government projects are one of the main pillars of digital transformation of public sector in Turkey. The main goal of the project is to effectively increase in the access of public services to citizens, public and private enterprises, and the like, using the information and communication technologies. Turkey is on track with its comprehensive e-government strategy and action plan. Currently, 2/3 of population is using it, and the number of services provided through the e-government portal have reached over 5,000. And the last part, startup ecosystem. About startup ecosystem, prior to 2010, Turkish ecosystem had little to speak about, but since then, ecosystem has swelled in size and importance and quickly become a regional key startup hub. In 2020, more than 500 idea stage startups received funding from TÜBİTAK TEDAP programs, and quite difficult to raise funds from angel or angel networks at the idea stage. And the largest angel at this stage was the government grants, TÜBİTAK grants at this phase. In the seed and early stage funding rounds, TÜBİTAK provides small investment support to almost 10 times more startups than outside sources. And as the Turkish ecosystem enters to 2020s, the presence of more experienced ecosystem stakeholders will help to reach quickly its potential. And Turkish startups raised more than $1 billion of investment in the first half of this year. And this is the record for Turkish startup ecosystem. And Turkey is now in the European Investment Super League with over $1 billion investments. Getir and Dream Games were the most funded startups for this year. Getir received almost $1 billion investment only in this year, and Dream Games received over $200 million. So in the last year, Turkey has also maintained its position in the first league among the European countries, based on $139 million angel investing and venture capital funding for Turkish startups across 165 deals. And the most funded verticals were market tech, AI, and the software as a service. And in the last year, 10 new VC funds were established and raised $328 million. And this marked the highest total VC funding raised to date. And appetite for startups investing by not only by VCs or other sources, but also corporates from Turkey, and the new 3 corporate VCs established in the last year. And Turkey is prime for delivering outsized returns to investors compared to other European and Middle East hubs. You can see some of the selected deals and exits in Turkish startup ecosystem. Microsoft acquired open source firm Citus Data. Amazon AWS acquired cloud software startup Bilateral. Zynga bought Rolik, Gram Games, and The Peak. Chinese Alibaba paid for the Trendyol, etc. And VC-backed exits have given courage and inspiration for both entrepreneurs and VC funds to invest in Turkish startups. In 2018, 3 out of top 10 VC-backed exits in Europe were Turkish. In the last year, the largest VC-backed exit in Europe was Peak Games, with a $1.8 billion exit valuation. But of course, this does not mean that the largest acquisition in Europe for the last year. So that concludes my presentation. Before I turn over, I would like to recommend you check our website and sectoral reports we have up there. Our Ict sector report would have detailed information on this sector and startup ecosystem published, so that's also interesting part. Finally, you can contact me anytime you would like at this email address. I will happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. So following up will be Ms. Gizem Takil, Senior Expert, Marketing and Business Development, ITU ARI, Techno Management Office. Working closely with executives and management teams, Gizem meets the potential business partners while maintaining existing client relationships and monitoring market trends. Prior to her role at ITU ARI Techno Management Office, Gizem has varied and extensive sales experience. She has also spent time in the Turkish Grand National Assembly as a parliamentary member consultant. Ms. Gizem will now be presenting on technoparks in Turkey. Gizem, please.
Thank you, Elijah. Hi, everyone. I'll be sharing now my screen with you. So today I'll be explaining the Turkish technoparks with ITU or technopark example, actually. So technoparks in Turkey are operating under the umbrella of Ministry of Industry and Technology. So what we're trying to do, basically, we have 2 missions. We are trying to connect academician projects and industry, and also develop Turkish entrepreneurs, technology entrepreneurs from idea stage to commercialization stages, actually. ITU is one of the oldest universities in Turkey. It dates back to Ottoman times, actually. So being a technopark of ITU means that we have a great technical capability as students and as our academicians to serve for our country. When it comes to our dates, actually, it has been like 10 years that we are operating our incubation centers. And from idea stage, as I told you, to globalization stages, I'll go into detail later on. You'll see how we are able to support actually both innovation and technology projects. When it comes to in numbers at ITU Technopark, we have around like 300 companies doing R&D in Turkey. And you see the export numbers as well. So we are trying to connect, as I told you, academician projects and industry together so that technology is being developed all around Turkey. So we're trying to create a strong collaborations, and also thanks to our location, we are able to be in close relations with the Fintech ecosystem as well. As we are located at the university, the companies are able to access to qualified human resources, and also as they're taking part at the techno parks, they are able to use the advantages of tax incentives. As long as they are doing their R&D projects and also operating, let's say, their activities under the techno parks, they're able to use income taxes and also corporate taxes to be exempt from exports. So at the same time, we are trying to support global market access for both technopark companies and also for the startups and scale-ups through our acceleration programs. So when it comes to entrepreneurship ecosystem at ITU Technoparks, you see that from idea generation to the globalization projects, we are supporting and let's say creating programs for both startups and scale-ups. ITU Çekirdek is one of the well-known incubation centers, both in Turkey and also around the world. There we are providing trainings and mentorship for startups. ITU Magnet is a co-working space for scale-ups. They are getting mentorship again, coaching actually, basically, trainings. And when it comes to Innogate, we're trying to focus on the US markets for scale-ups, for born global projects, and also SME sectors in Turkey. So we say best startups grow at ITU Çekirdek. What we do in here, when a startup, of course a technology startup or entrepreneur comes to Çekirdek, we're providing a physical environment for them. Now we are working with an incubation process. There we are providing trainings for their acceleration. If they need to be working on a, let's say, hardware project, they're able to use our labs for prototypings. Through the year, they're able, after taking those trainings, they're able to pitch at stage, which is called as Big Bang, one of the biggest startup challenge in Turkey. So after that, they're able to take part in our incubation processes. So far, we are able to support around like 600 startups in Çekirdek. So more than 3,000 projects are being supported till the beginning of the Çekirdek actually. And around like 900 startups have been founded under ITU Technopark. So what we do besides providing trainings and mentorship, we are connecting startups with the companies with the private sector actually, so that they're able to provide their services and also products to them. They might be able to pivot their ideas to be like the cherry pick products, let's say, for them. And then they're able to meet with the investors as well, so that they were able to get investments and grow higher. I'd like to share a video with you now.
Now, imagine an environment full of technology, where innovative minds design the technologies of the future. This is a place where people shape the future, find technological solutions with shared wisdom, and work together in synergy. So, what's the deal with this place? First of all, let's make a cool entrance by saying that it is ranked in the top 5 university incubation centers in the world. And then, every year, approximately 10,000 entrepreneurial groups apply to Ict Çekirdek. What's more, without any borders, from 20 different countries, and of course, from all over Turkey. 3,000 startups to date, meaning 6,500 entrepreneurs have been accepted. Well, now think of 874 companies. All of them have graduated from this place in just 9 years. Also, since our establishment, İTÜ Technokent has provided resources worth more than $6.7 million to İTÜ Çekirdek startups. It's kind of hard to visualize it, but it looks something like this. If you ask us, these resources turned into what? They have become raw material support for our startups to develop their prototypes. For example, gigabytes of the internet, hours of counseling, a fully equipped working environment, and a lab where entrepreneurs can reach whatever they need. Our 10 full-time team and mentor coordinator, who are 24/7 companions to our entrepreneurs, are value creators. We can't finish listing what makes us Ict Sector Outlook, but it's the vision of Ict and more than 40 institutions, including stakeholders who add value to our strength, such as the Elginkan Foundation, Istanbul Chamber of Industry, the Automotive Exporters Association, Petrol Ofisi, and Insurtech Partners. Together, we are all working for the future of Turkey. Is that all? No. How much investment do you think our startups have secured so far? Let me tell you, $27 million has been invested in our startups so far. The total valuation of these startups has now reached $242 million. What about total turnover? Stay tight. More than $34 million. Bang! And more than 3,600 employees are working in these startups. Well, what are you waiting for? If you have a good startup idea, join us here. Let's all work together and make it more than just an idea. Or if you want to support a startup that will add value to the world, please know our doors are fully open.
So let's say that you have an idea, you apply to Çekirdek and you are able to become a startup, let's say. You can continue to your incubation process at Çekirdek. But when you are a scale up and still need some support from Techno parks, you are able to take part at ITU Magnet. So there are around like 70 startups working at ITU Magnet, around like 200 entrepreneurs. They're able to meet with the, they're able to use our labs in there as well. And also they're getting trainings, mentorship. They're able to join seminars, speeches, etc. And they're meeting with investors. Basically, we are trying to connect VCs with ITU Magnet scale-ups. And also we have a specific program for scale-ups to join in and to develop their actually teams and their processes for getting ready, let's say, for the market, for scaling and also managing their teams, and then getting investment and also sustaining their projects. So when it comes to Innogate, we are focusing on the US market actually. We're trying to connect born global projects, scale-ups, and also SMEs in Turkey with the, let's say, potential customers at US markets who are able to join in, the tech companies who have a certain share in Turkish market with a team who will be able to focus to the global market actually. Now we are running the e-Innogate actually due to the pandemic. So there are two stages. Through online process, we are defining the, our strategy actually for all of the, let's say, trainees of Innogate program. And then we are starting the online connect process. We are developing company-specific action plans. They're able to meet with international experts. And also we are focusing on their development, and also we are always tracking their directions, their plans, and trying to make sure their international business model is working. They are able to meet with the sales representative in the States. They're always getting market code support, and also through our partner network program, they are able to use the advantages of being part of a big network. So far, around like 300 companies are able to take part at Turkish phase, and half of them are able to join the US phase as well. You see our global growth partners on the screen actually. We are always trying to support startups, scale-ups, or the born global projects through our partners actually. It might be the local partners or the global partners. We are always, as I told you, trying to support them. So that was all on our side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gizem. Next will be Miss Elena, who will be sharing on the importance of the Turkish market for Singapore businesses. So Ms. Elena Lee is the Regional Director of Enterprise Singapore's Middle East and Africa, Central and Eastern European and Central Asia Group. Enterprise Singapore is a government agency championing enterprise development. The agency works with committed companies to build capabilities, innovate, and internationalize. It also supports the growth of Singapore as a hub for global trading and startups, and builds trust in Singapore's products and services through quality and standards. Based in Istanbul, Ms. Lee promotes Singapore's trade and investment interests in Turkey, Central Eastern Europe, and Central Asia around sectors of technology, smart cities, transport and logistics environment, infrastructure, manufacturing, and lifestyle. Elena also promotes Singapore as a global trading hub. Prior to her current role, Elena was the Central Director in Frankfurt, Germany, overseeing the German and Central and Eastern European markets. Ms. Lee holds a master's degree in business administration, and she is fluent in German, English, and Chinese. Elena, please.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you at this webinar today. My presentation will focus more on providing a general overview of Turkey and also looking at Turkey from a Singapore lens. I will provide some information about Singapore and Turkey's bilateral relations, and also highlight some key opportunities that we see in Turkey that could be interesting for Singapore companies to look at. Okay, next slide, please. I think I can skip the introduction part of Enterprise Singapore, since you already have given a good introduction of our agency. So maybe we can move directly to the overview of Turkey. Yes, next slide, thank you. So Turkey, with its population of over 83 million people, actually is the world's 11th largest and Europe's 4th largest economy in terms of GDP. You can see in the charts here that the economy is steadily growing over the years. And last year, despite the pandemic, it was a country that recovered relatively fast from the pandemic economic downturn, and it reported a 1.8% growth last year. It was actually one of the fastest growing GDP amongst the G20 countries besides China. And even for this year, despite the macroeconomic uncertainty, the Turkish lira volatility, the forecast says and expects a 5% growth for the Turkish market this year. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, Turkey with its huge population is a very interesting domestic sales market per se, but on top of that, Turkey also has a customs union with the European Union, which provides, sorry, I have some problem. Can you see me?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, yes, sorry. It has a customs union with the EU, which means products out of Turkey going to the EU is like customs free, and you can reach an additional 446 population markets in the EU. On top of that, Turkey also has free trade agreements with over 28 countries, including one with Singapore. The key trading partners of Turkey are hence the European countries, but of course, in terms of imports, China is a key import country as well. As already mentioned earlier on from the other speakers, many MNCs also choose Turkey to set up a regional office, be it in terms of office or manufacturing or even R&D activities, because of its strategic location as a bridge between Europe and Asia. Exactly because of the reason, number one is to serve the domestic market, but also to have this regional coverage of Europe, Middle East, as well as even Africa. Next slide, please. So now let me share a bit more about Turkey and Singapore's bilateral relation. Turkey was Singapore's 44th largest trading partner last year. The bilateral trade in goods stood at 1.55 billion Singapore dollar, and the bilateral trade in services was 870 million Singapore dollar. As I mentioned earlier on, Singapore and Turkey has a free trade agreement since end of 2017, and it's quite a comprehensive free trade agreement covering areas such as government procurement, trade in products and services, investments, IP rights, as well as e-commerce. Besides that, Turkey and Singapore also have the avoidance of double taxation agreement in place. In terms of investment, there are a number of Singapore companies with operations in Turkey as well. Here you can see some names and examples of the bigger boys. For example, PSA owns and operates the largest container port in Turkey. We have some infrastructure, hospitality players, as well as some in the food agriculture space as well. Next slide, please. Besides the large boys having operations in Turkey, we also see a lot of activities, technology collaborations going on for SMEs from Singapore with Turkish companies and in Turkey. Here are some examples listed. I think my slide disappeared. Okay, thank you. For example, AVA Asia is a data analytics company from Singapore focusing on detecting defects in solar plants. Last year, through Enterprise Singapore's introduction, they found a local business partner and have conducted a first POC project. This year, they're already working on the third projects on solar plants in Turkey. Another example is vSense, which is a AI e-commerce technology, a solution provider from Singapore. They have a long-standing working relationship with the leading e-commerce platform Hepsiburada. We also see opportunities where there are good Turkish startup companies with unique or complementary solutions, and they are working with Singapore technology firms to grow together their business in Southeast Asia. So they form some form of partnership to provide a more comprehensive solution to customers in Asia together. We also see increasingly, yet not so big, but of course, I mean, slowly more interest from Singapore investors looking at Turkey as an investment market in terms of startups. So we do have a few investments into Turkish startups as well. Then there are also some platform collaboration, strategic partnerships between Turkey and Singapore. One is the Eureka project, which is the EU initiative where there are multilateral country and companies collaboration to look into co-innovation and development of new projects. Besides that, we also have, for example, 2 agri-tech accelerators from Turkey and Singapore working together and running bilateral accelerator programs. Next slide, please. Now let me highlight some key sectors and business opportunities that could be interesting for Singapore companies to look at in Turkey. First, here are some key sectors that Turkey is already very strong at and wanted to give you an overview. As mentioned earlier on, Turkey is a strong manufacturing hub for the region due to the good engineers and cost advantages. So they're particularly strong in the sectors like automotive, machinery, electronics, or white goods production. Other than that, there are also a huge number of construction and energy companies active in Turkey, and they're not just leading players in Turkey, but also very strong in the region like Central Asia, Middle East, etc. Besides that, Turkey is also a strong country when it comes to agriculture, food products, food processing. So if you have solutions who could serve any of these sectors, Turkey might be interesting for you because there are large pools of companies who could be your potential business partners and clients. Next slide, please. So now let me dig into some specific technology areas that I wanted to share with the audience. Number one, fintech, which already has been mentioned earlier on. I think it's the most mature technology area in Turkey due to the strong banking system and the high tech adoption rate. So actually there are a lot of good fintech solutions already implemented in with the banks. However, there's still room to grow, and they are open to work with Singapore companies in specific areas like open banking and AI, data analytics, cybersecurity, etc. Just one point maybe to add on to note for Singapore companies is that for most of the solutions, cloud solutions are not accepted in the banking system in Turkey, so they need an on-premise solution. So this could be relevant information for you to assess if it's interesting for you to enter the fintech space in Turkey. Following the banks, now we also see more interest from insurance companies in Turkey, looking into digitalization and innovation. And if you have already good projects and track records with insurance companies in Asia, you can also consider looking at the Turkish market. Other than that, blockchain as a technology is also very interesting area in Turkey. It's still very nascent, I would say, although there is like strong support from the government as well as various associations to drive maybe projects and developments in this space, but there are still limited players in Turkey, and hence the numbers of projects are still very small. But there's definitely a need and a plan to grow this sector more. So this could be an opportunity also for Singapore companies to come in and look at. Especially we see opportunities for blockchain as a technology in terms of supply chain or in the legal sector. Next slide. E-commerce, yes, has also already been mentioned earlier on, is a high growth sector in Turkey. Maybe just to add on some angle that where we see opportunities in, as mentioned, there are a lot of international or local strong e-marketplaces already in place, and their technology is already also quite advanced. So it might be not that easy to reach out to these segment. However, we see growth opportunities for the Turkish brand owners. For example, there are a lot of big Turkish brands, fashion brands, for example, coming out of Turkey. And they actually now only look at moving into e-commerce or growing their sales through e-commerce, especially since last year's pandemic. So these companies look at ready-to-use solutions in the e-commerce space, and that could be interesting for the Singapore companies to look at, particularly in AI, customer engagement, social commerce, etc. Gaming also has been mentioned many times already today, so I won't spend too much time on this, just to maybe add on that besides the strong gaming sector in Turkey, and also that we have some Singapore investment now in Turkish gaming sector, we also have some players from Singapore already doing business in Turkey, be it a Razer for their gaming accessories or their fintech solution, but also Garena with their gaming games. Yeah. Another area I want to highlight today is the EdTech space. So the Turkish government puts high priority on education as well, and to develop the ICT infrastructure for the education. And we do see high growth in the EdTech and e-learning space in Turkey as well. So that could be an interesting angle for Singapore EdTech players to look at. Particularly, there could be opportunities working with local EdTech distributors or the private schools or publishers, while working with the public school might take a bit longer. Sorry, can you go back? Yes, one more. Yeah, thank you. Another angle on the EdTech side is actually Turkey also has quite some established and strong EdTech players, and they are very keen to grow into the Asian market, and are very interested to find a partner in Singapore to grow together in the region. So this could be another angle to look at in terms of EdTech. Thank you. Next slide. Another big topic that we are looking at from our office in Istanbul is actually everything around smart city developments, particularly due to the recently launched National Smart City Strategy and Action Plan 2020 to 2023, which supports the growth of smart city developments in the course of rapid urbanization in Turkey. So following that plan, many municipalities in Turkey actually now also developing their own strategy and roadmap for smart city developments in their municipalities. And we are in touch with some of them, and they're actually quite open to learn about Singapore offerings and I mean, exploring, maybe testing some of these solutions in their municipalities. Particularly, we see opportunities in topics like transportation, energy, or environmental solutions. Along the same line, there could be also opportunities in the energy efficiency and renewable energy space, where you can, of course, also look at the municipality again. But on top of that, there are also a lot of cooperation opportunities with Turkish companies, for example, in the energy, construction, or real estate developers sector. So this could be another angle to work in this sector in Turkey. And of course, there are a lot of system integrators that could be your ideal partner in penetrating this market in Turkey. The last sector I want to highlight today here is Industry 4.0. As I mentioned earlier on, Turkey is a very strong manufacturing hub in the region already. And the government now puts a lot of efforts also to conduct digital transformation in the manufacturing space. For example, there is a MEXT established, which is the world's largest digital transformation and competence center based in Istanbul. And it exists to serve the Turkish manufacturers in their structural transformation. So they already have a collaboration ongoing with EDB, and for Enterprise Singapore, we are also in touch with the center, and they're very interested in learn more about Singapore Industry 4.0 companies, what their offerings are, and they're also willing to showcase some of these solutions in their digital factory in Turkey to introduce to Turkish manufacturers. Next slide. So if maybe through my presentation and the previous presenter's presentation, you got excited and I mean, want to venture into the Turkish market, study the market more, or explore business opportunities, maybe this upcoming event could be of your interest. So there is an event called Mobile Fest taking place from 11th to 13th November in Istanbul. It's a hybrid event, so there's a physical exhibition and conference element, but also a virtual element. And this conference brings together services and infrastructure providers and ICT companies, especially in the field of 5G and communications, software, and smart technologies. There will be involvement of various Turkish ministries. There are the largest telco operators participating. Communication service providers of Turkey are also participating. China is the country of honor with the amount of Chinese exhibitors as well. And what I learned is also that Hong Kong, Japan, and Korea are also putting up a national pavilion. So from Singapore, we're also exploring the idea of organizing a Singapore pavilion at this event to showcase Singapore's capabilities. Likely it will be a virtual booth since pandemic situation is not clear yet in November. So if you're interested to learn more about this event and interested to participate, do reach out to SG Tech or Enterprise Singapore so we can plan for participation at this event. Next slide, please. So this comes to the end of my presentation. I hope I gave you a good overview about Turkey. And if you're interested to learn more or you have any questions on any specific sectors, this slide shows the key contacts that you can reach to of Enterprise Singapore that we can assist you. Besides myself, there's Sezin and Güvenç who are based also in Turkey together with me. And in the Singapore headquarters, I have my colleague Yazid, who can be also your contact point for any inquiries regarding Turkey. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Elena. So now we will move into the Q&A section, which will be moderated by Jacqueline. So feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box, and please state your company name as well as your name before asking the questions. So let's welcome all the speakers back onto Spotlight, and I'll pass the time over to Ms. Jacqueline to moderate.
Okay,
Thank you all speakers for your contribution and your information sharing. It has been most helpful for us, well, at least for me, to understand what Turkey offers. Before we take a few questions from in the Q&A box, perhaps what I'll do is there's a few questions we will just want to go around with the speakers, and maybe one would be we talk about maybe either ESG or we have Emma from the Invest Turkey as well that's joining us, right, who was not presenting. But yeah, because this session we talk about internationalization. So we'd like to know, right, what comes with a process where a company needs to localize and adapt to the market, right? So based on your understanding of Singapore companies and the Turkey market, so what are the most common mistakes companies make when entering Turkey? Elena or Emma, any one of you want to take this question?
Okay, maybe I can start first. So I think for the Turkish market, which is maybe quite different than markets in Southeast Asia, is from our experience more successful if you find a local partner, right, to enter the Turkish market, who are familiar with the network and how the business is conducted in Turkey. So we see more success cases where there are Singapore companies who found a local partner to grow the business together. So this is maybe a recommendation from my side. It could be on the technology space, likely some system integrators who are already well connected in the ecosystem in Turkey. And I think subsequently, also you can then look at set up yourself in Turkey, starting from maybe like a small sales or project office. And then another area is maybe also having local tech talents to grow your business out of Turkey as well. Yeah.
Okay. Emma, any maybe from your perspective, right? Understanding what is like, the business culture in Turkey, right? We do understand every market has this new unique culture. So something perhaps for our Singapore audience is to, understand a little bit the way business being conducted culturally, what they should take in consideration.
So thanks very much for co-organizing this wonderful event. Let me just introduce very quickly myself. I'm the Singapore representative of Turkish Investment Office based in Singapore, covering Southeast Asia market. So on top of the Elena's comments, I think the Singaporean entities, companies, startups, or tech companies in general should also consider expanding out of Turkey as well once they set up their presence in Turkey, because Turkey just herself might not be meeting the expectations in short term because of the high level of competitiveness. But beyond that, there are several other markets in the vicinity of Turkey, in Northern Africa, Middle East, or even the Western markets where you can cover from Istanbul or any major city that you can locate your company. And while you are enjoying the hard currency revenues from those export markets, you can also leverage the competitive and skilled labor force and very talented labor pool across the engineers and relevant domains of Turkish people. So I think it's all the way to discover Turkish markets. There is all means, one of the very few ESG offices and investment office has presence in both countries. So please approach us to find out more, what I would say in general.
Okay.
Back to you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much. Maybe a question to Zizan, right? On Ict Techno, right, which is a very well established, and we have seen the success of the companies. So from your experience, perhaps, right, what would be the relevant setup for companies to looking to scale up, in that startup space, right? And are there any specific type of startup you would like to see more from Singapore, perhaps?
Actually, it's all about local markets so far. So the trends are from idea stage or being a scale up, it doesn't matter actually. We can take this from the investors, let's say, vision as well. Basically, there's an interest for AI and actually healthcare, health tech startups that all the investors and also Turkish market is really interested in investing on. But still, as Ms. Elena was talking about, smart city also is on the rise actually. So there might be lots of IoT projects as well, are focusing on smart city and electricity, let's say, at electric tech startups as well. Other than that, we can say there's still a huge potential for fintech projects as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. Maybe we just take we have some questions in our Q&A box, and we just perhaps take a couple of them. We have one question from John T. Okay, asking, what are some of the outward-facing investors in Turkey? Any specific verticals, and would they be interested to invest in foreign startup to bring into Turkey? Maybe a question for Baris. Would that be something?
Sure.
Yeah.
So any specific verticals that would be interested to invest in foreign startups? Well, I didn't fully understand the question, but as far as I understand, I think the question is any specific verticals for the foreign startups to collaborate in Turkey or to invest in Turkey. So, I mean, I would advise, if you are willing to enter the Middle Eastern and European markets, Turkey would be the ideal location. So invest into the startups in Turkey or collaborate with them, which has the capability to go to the Middle Eastern and European expansion would be the ideal case. In creative content, Turkey is very strong, as I mentioned, gaming, animation, mobile contents, fintech, retail tech, and other strong areas. But mostly the products, the digital products, where you need proper localization and proper approach, proper customer support to the Middle Eastern and European countries, then Turkey would be the ideal location. Of course, if you need logistics, again, Turkey would be the ideal location. I mean, you can have your regional quarters in Turkey and then export it to the other close locations. So Caspian Sea, Russia, Middle East, Europe. Turkey is just in the middle. So that would be my advice. Development power of Turkey is pretty good. And in terms of cost, it's reasonable if you compare to Singapore or UK or Japan, Korea. Turkey costs are much more reasonable.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, maybe a question from Emil Isvilan. Okay, his question is directed to Ahmed. Do you have any information about a single window development which is run by the Trade Ministry to facilitate trade? And is it monitored? Is the opportunity monitored by the Investment Office?
So thank you for the question. I can also mention about the incentive scheme in Turkey. There are three types of incentives in Turkey. One is the export incentives or trade incentives run by the Ministry of Trade. I think it's a single that's one that we mentioned about. Other one is for software development and R&D incentives, which run by Ministry of Science and Technology for product development or for the research and development projects. And other one is the manufacturing incentives. This is reserved for the manufacturing companies located in Turkey and producing their products in Turkey. It's also run by Ministry of Science and Technology. As the investment office, we are giving information and we are directing our companies to these incentives, and we are putting them into contact with these relevant institutions. So there are these three types of investment incentive schemes. Is it the answer, or I think, what do you mean by this? I think I'm looking for the chat right now. We don't monitor these opportunities. We are only just a medium for the opportunities. We are explaining these opportunities to the global business community, and we are also in contact with these institutions always.
Let me just interrupt here. So regarding this single window, I think it is regarding the customs clearance process between two countries. So as you also mentioned in your question, Mr. Emre İşbilen, this topic is totally handled by Ministry of Trade, and they are also adopting Singapore's single window approach in order to implement the same strategy to make the custom clearance process easier and faster. But on another note, we are not directly involved in this process, to be honest. So I think the Ministry of Trade would be the right contact to pursue this ongoing project, but we can definitely link you up with the right department, which is the, I guess, there is a disruptive technologies department under the ministry, so we can provide the necessary context if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Since we are on some government projects here, perhaps question for Emil as well as Elena. Right? So we have quite a handful of Singapore tech companies, SME, not necessarily startups, and they may want to consider participation in some of the government procurement projects. Perhaps you can give some, insights to them in terms of what would be the best approach to, for them to gain such kind of opportunities. Do they have to work with a partner, or what would be the best approach for them?
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, especially working on government, procurement projects, as I mentioned, number one, the advantage is also part of the Singapore-Turkey Free Trade Agreement, government procurement. So in that sense, there's some advantage also for Singapore companies who want to pursue some of these projects. But nevertheless, from our engagement of for example, municipalities, we do see their preference to work, number one, with more established companies with already track records in other regions, and as well having maybe a local partner or some on-site, in Turkey, service, provision that will be more ideal based on some of the interactions that we had with like municipalities, for example, in terms of smart city developments, I can say. So there are a number of like consultants or system integrators in Turkey that the municipalities actually work with closely. So we are also engaging them to maybe cultivate them and bring in Singapore companies to this channel as well. Yeah.
I think on top of that, maybe we just need to mention about the PPP tenders ongoing in Turkey. The Singaporean companies may also consider to engage with the, again, local Turkish undertakers of the large-scale projects, and also act as a sponsor within the projects to implement their technologies into the specific projects that announced by the governments different divisions, including Ministry of Transportation or Healthcare, where we have successfully implemented a number of PPP projects. This is the most common method of handling the government projects in Turkey on top of the municipality level tenders, I would say.
Right. Thank you so much. Right. Okay. One more question. Apparently, is directed to Elena. This is from Rohit from Cruise Lab. They are a telco startup in Singapore making SME focused UC platform. Right. He'd like to find out, do you have any suggestions for them towards participating with the ecosystem in Turkey, such as telco operators there?
I think, I mean, maybe I can have a separate conversation with Rohit on this. So we need to understand more about what their solution is and how they can work. But generally, we are in touch also with the leading telcos in Turkey, and they are quite strong. I must say they have a big, internal, of course, ICT supporting team, and they also develop a lot of things within their subsidiaries. But nevertheless, they look at complementary solutions, and we do see some cooperation opportunities with them. So yeah, I think we need to understand more what their interest is and how maybe Cruise Labs can come in. Yeah, so please feel free maybe to reach out to me after the session, and we can maybe learn more in detail and discuss on potential engagement of the telco operators in Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe so final questions, right? This is for Furkan. Maybe you can help. This from Ahmad Rizal. He's asking, is there any particular support for those export fintech solution from Turkey? I would think that, support here refers to government support or incentives.
Yes, thank you. Actually, my colleague Ahmed already explained the existing incentives, including the industrial incentives and export incentives. In that sense, for fintech solutions, as far as I know, Mr. Ahmed, please correct me if I'm wrong, but services is not supported yet, but other incentives which startups can benefit in technoparks like Ict and other incentives, tax incentives in technoparks, as well as available for all fintechs companies in Turkey.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we close up this webinar, thank you. Maybe around and with the speakers, is there a final advice for our tech companies here in terms of exploring Turkey market, how they should do it? Perhaps we could start with Ahmad, for instance. Yeah, sorry, you're just first on my screen.
I want to add something to the Mr. Furkan Karayaka's point. I think there is nothing. There is incentives for the fintechs when they developing their projects in Turkey. If they have any, if they are in the project development phase, they may take place one of the technoparks for their software development or R&D phase. They can benefit from the some of the incentives. What are those incentives? Profits derived from the software development and R&D exempt from the income and corporate taxes. Remuneration for R&D personnel employed in the technology development zones are exempt from all taxes. The government compensates 50% of the employee's share of social security premium, and sales of application software produced in technoparks are exempt from VAT and custom duty and stamp duty for applicable documents. These are the incentives for the technopark companies which are doing their software development or R&D development one of the technoparks.
Faris? Sorry, Furkan,
well,
do you still want to say something?
For me,
Yeah, did you want to, I thought you wanted to say something, sorry, I cut you off.
just one sentence. If you apply us for your basic business plan, and so we can get back to you with relevant incentive packages. That's what I would like to say, but I can give floor to Barış Bey.
Okay, thank you. Then next we'll go to Barış, please.
Well, I would give advice in two ways. One is for the Singapore tech companies, if they want to explore the Middle Eastern and European markets, Turkey would be an ideal location for them to get located and to build partnerships. They have to think in that way, especially building collaborations with the Turkish tech companies will give them huge benefit. And second, there are lots of Turkish tech companies who are willing to explore Southeast Asia, but of course they are facing challenge, especially while during their expansions to the Asian markets. So Singapore tech companies, what I see, there's a very strong side. They speak English. So they speak English, they can connect to the Western Turkish companies, so they can benefit from that. So they can collaborate with the Turkish tech companies, and they can use their product services to expand in Southeast Asia, especially. I think there's a big opportunity in that vertical.
Maybe I'll Emra?
Yeah. Just to mention about the, I think we have pretty much covered everything, but for those who would like to explore further, they need to also maybe think about Turkey's position is somehow similar to Singapore's leading position in Southeast Asia. I mean, once they are settled in Turkey, they can easily manage, thanks to the location of the market itself, and in terms of the accessibility and the also time zone, they can cover multiple markets combined together, and also some of the eastern and the southern part of Turkey, let's say, also quite following the trends ongoing in Turkish markets, so they can easily adopt the same strategy within those underdeveloped markets and take advantage of more profitable returns, probably, so which would include, again, Middle East and Northern African markets. So please, I think Elena has just pointed out some very concrete next steps, such as participating into the Mobile Fest. But just before that, there will be another mega scale event we call Techno Fest. Turkey's one of the largest, maybe Turkey's largest for sure, but Europe's one of the largest aviation and tech festival, which will be realized in conjunction with the takeoff, the startup summit. So please also do take a look at this project, not even maybe this year due to the restrictions ongoing, but for the coming years, you should definitely explore Turkish markets through those platforms, I believe.
All right. Okay, we're gonna, Ms. Jizan, any last remarks from you?
I believe that was already covered so far, but as ITU are a techno park, we are expecting the technology companies and also the startups to take place in Turkish market. So we will be really happy to have them in our techno park and work together to develop technology.
Thank you, Izam. And then last but not least, Elena.
Yes, maybe, yeah, just to summarize, so definitely Turkey is a very interesting market that Singapore companies should look at. It's a high growth market, the young population and the tech adoption is high. Just also to emphasize again that Turkey's technology scene is also very established, maybe to share with the Singapore companies. And due to the maybe depreciation of the Turkish lira, so if a Singapore company looks at purely exporting their services and software to Turkey, they really must make sure that maybe they have some competitive edge, either being a more advanced technology solution or some unique solution that is not found easily in Turkey itself. Otherwise, they might lose their competitiveness. So one way, of course, to overcome this is maybe to localize some and work with Turkish maybe like developers or engineers to maybe make it more cost competitive. But yeah, so this just also to emphasize again for the Singapore companies to note. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you all the speakers. We have come to the end of the webinar. I'm going to pass on over to Elijah, and then maybe some of the sharing of the upcoming activities that SG Tech has, especially in terms of internationalization program into Turkey and other markets as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jack, and thanks, speakers, for your insightful comments. So now I'll share with you some of the upcoming activities. So first we have Boost with Facebook. So SG Tech, in partnership with our member Facebook Singapore, is introducing Boost with Facebook, a program to equip Singapore small businesses and entrepreneurs with digital marketing skills to connect with customers and grow their businesses digitally in the new economy. There will be free educational workshops, live panel sessions, one-on-one clinics, and training by top ecosystem partners such as Canva and OFFEO. You may visit the link on this page to register and find out more on the full list of workshops. You can scan the QR code as well, and it'll take you there. All right. So lastly, so you can keep up with SG Tech social accounts to keep up to date with the upcoming SG Tech and industry events, as well as post-event summaries and latest story features, and SG Tech advocacy position articles, industry research reports, and thought leadership commentaries. So you can follow the two links at the bottom as well as scan the QR codes. And lastly, let us know what you think of today's webinar, or if you have any feedback for the speakers. Do contact us if you would like to partner us for sectorial transformation activities, and you can email us at events@sgtech.org. I'll now paste the feedback form into the chat, and you can follow the link there. All right, and that will be all for today. Oops, sorry. Let me. So that'll be all for today. Thank you for joining us in this webinar, and we look forward to meeting you in future events. Thank you and have a great week ahead.